what are a couple of things that people can take away from listening to this episode?
First of all, how to get clients every time you deliver a presentation, whether it's from stage or a webinar. Then secondly, the exact structure of creating a high converting presentation from start to finish. And thirdly, how to get started and how to grow. So what do you do when you start and how to become better so that you can become really good at it.
Amazing. Can't wait to dive in. Today I'm talking with Simone Vincenzi. He is a multi-award winning serial entrepreneur who writes for magazines like Forbes and Entrepreneur Magazine. He is an absolute genius at selling from presentations and selling from both the virtual and the in-person stage. He sold over $3 million in revenue for his own products and services through presentations, and he helped his clients to generate over $10 million in sales through presentations. Simone, very good to have you here. Welcome.
It's my pleasure to be here, Marcel. It's my pleasure.
I'm so excited to learn about your journey of how to become so good at selling from stage.
All right, let's get going.
And we'll probably, throughout this interview, throughout this conversation, use the words presentation, webinar, selling from stage. We'll use it interchangeably.
All good.
But we all mean you get in front of people one way or the other, you deliver your story, your presentation, and after that people are like, okay, wow, I need to get my credit card out right now.
and give you some money.
Give you some money.
That's the goal. That's the entire goal.
Yeah. And that is of course, what you do to get clients for your business. And then you have a training company, GTeX, and you help all types of businesses and entrepreneurs to generate revenue through webinars.
In particular, service-based businesses, agencies, and SaaS companies. So basically, the bottom line is, if you need to educate your clients before you sell something, then you can use a presentation to sell that product, because ultimately, the presentation is an education tool. It's to educate your clients, your potential clients, in what they need to know before they buy from you or something similar to what you're selling.
Right. So we already know we need shoes, so we don't need a webinar for that. But in some cases, there needs to be a certain belief change in people before they make a buying decision.
Yes, correct. There are different things that needs to happen before someone buys. There are three actually fundamental changes that need to happen. The first one is they need to believe in what you're offering. Is what you're offering good? Is what you're offering exactly what they need to solve the specific problem they have? So that's number one. Then number two is they need to believe in you as a person or as a company, that you are actually the right person or company to deliver that solution. Because otherwise, if they believe that the solution works, but they don't believe in you, they're going to buy from someone else. It's like, thank you. Let me buy from someone else, right? And then the third thing is that they need to believe that it's going to work for them. Because if they believe in you or they believe in the product, but I don't believe I can do it or I can use it or it's going to work for me or for my specific scenario or for my business, then they're saying, oh, nice, but I'm not going to be able to use it, so I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah, and they need to be problem aware already?
So there are different philosophies, actually. I personally love to sell to a market that is already problem aware. And the reason why is because if you sell to a market that is not already problem aware, there is a lot of education that needs to happen. Just think about all the things that now I need to realize before making the buying decision. I need to now learn that I have a problem. And after I learn that I have a problem, I need to learn that there is a solution. And after I learn that there is a solution, I need to learn that there is your solution. So can you see how many decisions I have to make before I buy that? So my goal is always go after the market that is already problem aware, but it might not be solution aware, or is already solution aware, but it just don't know that your solution is the best solution.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially if you're starting out selling from presentations, you don't want to make it so difficult for yourself that you go after an audience that's not even problem aware.
Exactly, because also if you think about the context of selling from a presentation, and also let's talk about selling from presentations, right? When we talk about selling from presentation, it doesn't always mean here's my credit card, here's my money, because depending on your product, your service, your audience, then you can sell in a different way. The one thing that is true is that you cannot change how your audience normally buys. So, for example, you sell to a company, it's a large organization. They need to have 15 internal meetings, 7 decision makers that are making decision, budget evaluation, and so on. They're not going to go on a webinar and say, oh yes, these are the bonuses, buy now or your house is going to burn. Like, that's not going to work. You cannot change how your ideal clients make decision. You can speed up the decision-making process. So in that case, selling from a presentation might mean the goal is to book a call from that presentation. If you actually sell to a market where they are used to buy something for themselves, it's like, I see it, I want it, I buy it. And that's their buying behavior or part of their buying behavior, then selling directly makes sense. And then at that point, you're thinking about pricing as well. Is the pricing low enough for someone to make that impulse purchase, that impulse decision? Or if the price point is high, the next step is always better to book a call and have that one-to-one interaction, because ultimately what creates the sale, what makes the currency exchange of money, there is an exchange of trust before. So the trust needs to be high enough for the exchange in money to happen.
Yeah, and the higher the ticket size, the more important the amount of trust.
Right. You can deliver the best presentation, but if I don't know you, and you say, and it's only $20,000, right?
Yeah.
But if you say, it's $500, well, yeah, I can do it.
Actually, that takes me back to the moment that we met and that I actually, for the first time, saw selling from stage as a general concept. And that was when we met in South Africa.
Yeah.
Remember that conference?
I remember the conference, and I couldn't sell. So you saw me where I couldn't sell, because the brief was you cannot sell. Like, no speakers could sell at that conference. So I had to find a workaround.
But let's say you actually did that workaround, because you kind of, there was kind of a sell in a sense that the money went to charity. So that was okay, but still people needed to get out their credit cards and they went into your funnel.
Correct. So,
and I'd never seen someone do that before, like delivering a live presentation and throughout that presentation doing nothing but delivering so much value in terms of the actual content, applicable information, and also humor and presence. Like, it was just like 30 minutes of straight entertainment, and then to smoothly like turn that into a moment where people actually take out their credit cards and purchase your program. It was a low ticket offer, I think like $27 or $30, but
$29.99.
$29.99. Oh, that was very specific.
That's like very specific. $29.99.
I remember there were 60 people in the room. 90% of people in that room pulled out their credit cards.
53, I think. 53, 54.
Yeah.
Something like
it's
that.
It's incredible. I'd never seen the concept in general of selling from stage or from a presentation. And then this was the first time I ever got to see that. And that was when you did this.
Yeah, and if we go back to the principles, you said that there was value, there was entertainment, there was persuasion, because I made you want that thing, and then it was such a no-brainer that it's like, okay, I'm doing it. We were doing it for a good cause, so there was the feeling of I'm doing something that even if I don't want it, I'm gonna buy it because I know it's gonna go to a good cause. There are so many elements in that part, but I think if I go back to how I started and the lessons that I've learned, is that I've sat through a lot of sales presentations and pitches, because when I learned about selling from the stage the first time I saw it, I was attending a lot of personal development events, and there were speakers that were selling their products, and there were some speakers that they were awful. Like, I felt literally abused from start to finish. It was awkward. It was clunky. They were going for a hard sell. They were making me feel bad for not buying. Literally, they were really playing on fears and emotions that I didn't want even to feel at that time. But sometimes it works for certain kind of people, but I didn't want to be that kind of speaker. And then I went through other sales presentations where it was incredibly boring. So maybe the content was good, it was persuasive, but man, I probably have been through some of these kind of presentations, right? Like, I just want to finish. Why am I still here? And then I saw other speakers that they had the full package. They delivered value. So I felt that I was investing my time. I was getting value from the time that I was spending listening to that presentation. They made me see the world in a different way. They opened my eyes. They opened my mind to something that I didn't see before. Ultimately, they made my life better. They also made me have a good time. They were entertaining. Like, I was feeling emotion. I was with them, and I wanted to have more of it. And then at the end, they had a great offer and made me buy. And so when I had to learn, when I decided to learn and commit, because we are talking about 14 years of doing this skill at least minimum once a week for 14 years, sometimes 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6, sometimes 10 times a week, right? So it's a lot of reps that I put in, but I wanted to be that kind of speakers. I wanted to be the kind of speakers that people want to buy from, and not they feel forced to buy from. And I think there is a very big difference in the way you create that presentation or the other one.
Yeah. Let's actually then go back, I guess, all the way to the beginning, right? If you say 14 years of practicing the skill, and clearly you want to be one of those top-notch speakers, right? But you started out, like, were you naturally good at selling? I guess that's a no.
That's a no. That's a no. So think about this. I'm Italian, and I moved to the UK when I was 20. I started my business at 23, right? So that's when I started delivering the first presentation. At this point, I've been speaking English in an English-speaking country for 3 years. The first presentation I delivered, first of all, people could not even understand what I was saying. Like, I literally had people raising their hands while I was in the middle of the presentation saying, "Can you repeat, please? I don't understand." That was my starting point. And it took me 25 presentations before I sold my first grandiose offer, which was a 1-year-long mastermind for £120, which is about like $130. Yay. 25 presentations of trying to sell. So it's not 25 presentations in total. I probably did another 50, 60 that I didn't sell anything. Yeah. Just to learn. I wanted to become good at presenting, and I was bad. I was speaking way too fast. People could not understand what I was saying. I didn't have much to talk about. I was very young, but I wanted to learn. I wanted to become a speaker. So I was like, let me learn something and try to share it. That's how I started. And then I remember the first time I tried to sell something. And I had this pitch. And I remember I was so nervous. I think in my mind, it went way better than I thought. And my hands were, like, my palms were sweating. My heart was beating in my chest. I felt like a lump on my throat. Literally all the worst feeling that I could feel, I had them, because I didn't know what the reaction was going to be. Would they like it? Would not like it?
So you had given presentations, but this was the first time you actually made an offer.
This is the first time I tried to make an offer. Yeah. That was the first time I tried to sell. And I remember it was so bad that I said, well, I've got the mastermind. You work with us for a year. It's a great community. We'd meet once a month. And it's only 100. It normally is £500. But if you buy today, it's 120. By now, if you want to come and talk to me, thank you. Bye. Literally
every sentence ended with a question mark.
Yes, literally, I looked at the video. I looked at it because I had my phone filming. I looked at the video. That's how my first pitch was. Needless to say, zero, nada. Like, I had people leaving the event not even saying goodbye. That's how bad it was. But I knew that if other could do it, did it, I just had to become better. And so it was hard. It was hard because every time I really had to dig deep just to keep going and to try to make it work. But then I remember after 25 presentation, the time that changed everything. And I delivered this pitch. It was slightly better. And I made £1,000 in one evening, like $1,200. Like 8 people bought this damn mastermind. And I was over the moon. It felt like I made $1 million in that moment. And that was the moment I knew I had something, and I started building from there.
Right, because that's not a coincidence if 8 people buy at the same event. You figured something out at that point.
Exactly.
Do you remember, was there like a specific thing that you did different that time?
The one thing I did different, which is the basic of selling from presentation, is giving it space and time. Every other time that I tried to sell, I felt like I was taking away time from the audience. I was robbing them from their precious time without delivering value. And I think I know you did some time, you tried to sell and so on. A lot of people feel that.
Yes.
And you cut yourself short, but actually, if you want someone to buy, they need to know what they're buying. They need space and time to make a buying decision. So instead of doing this 3 minutes, please can you give me some money because I got this thing that I want to give you, I slow down, I center myself, and I really took time to explain why I believed in this product, why I created it, and why it was going to be really good for them. And that was the starting point. Now, of course, there are many other strategies, but I think just having that in place, slowing down, creating space, not feeling that you're taking time away from your audience, but actually you're adding to them. Because if they buy, actually, they're going to be in a better place, right? And really focusing on the benefit and the why, that made the entire difference, big time.
And was this something you suddenly realized, or did you get feedback to make this improvement?
Yeah, I got feedback.
Yeah.
I got feedback. I had people that I was going through speaking training. So I did more than 10 years of speaking training right now, as it stands. And every time I practice it, I was trying to become better, and I was getting feedback. And so it was actually one of my trainers that said, you gotta slow down. Even if the product is good, I'm not gonna buy from you. Like, you look like a wreck there on stage. You are so nervous that you make me feel nervous to buy this thing. So you gotta find a way to calm yourself down, and slowing down naturally and reminding myself why it's important and really feeling it and trying to transmit that feeling to others. That was the starting point. That's, for me, the foundation.
So you know deep inside of you that what you offer is of great value for the audience.
Correct.
And that's the starting point.
Correct. And then being able to articulate that value. Because, so if I say, hey, this is a mastermind, you buy this mastermind, we meet once a month, and normally it's 500 and now you use a 120, what does it say about the transformation you're going to have? Right? But if you say, hey, we have this mastermind, and after you join, one of the things that you're going to do is, first of all, you're going to meet friends for life. Believe that connections are really the most important thing that we have in our life. Meeting with like-minded people, building our tribe, feeling part of something bigger than ourselves. We need that like the oxygen. And so by joining this mastermind, you will have your tribe, you will find your people, and that's priceless. That's what really helped me out. It's different. Like, there is something there. And doing this for every single part and every single benefit then made a huge difference at the end.
How do you bring that energy every time you deliver that presentation? Earlier you mentioned you do like you did over 2,000 presentations.
Yep.
Like, how do you get that same energy if you deliver the same message over and over?
First of all, you do your best. I think let's look at the journey. Yeah. The first thing is being grace, giving yourself some space and grace. What I mean about that, there are some people that they try the first time, and then it doesn't work, or it feels clunky, it feels awkward, and they say immediately, "This is not for me," or they look at themselves and say, "I'm not good at this," and they just give up. But actually, my first speaker trainer gave me this message, which is, your first is your worst. My first is my worst. So when I even work with my clients, I'll tell them, hey, just be okay to suck. Like, it's okay to suck at the beginning. It's normal to suck at the beginning. Actually, the people that are really good at the beginning, they're a fluke, or they might have already experienced doing this kind of work in different industries, maybe. So it's okay to suck, and giving yourself the space to learn, the space to grow, giving yourself the space to practice. You know, I play basketball. First time I've tried to play basketball, I couldn't even bounce the ball straight. I couldn't even shoot from close to the basketball. Now I can knock 8 out of 10 3-point shots if I'm open, right? It's practice. So giving yourself some space and grace. That's the first thing at the beginning. It's okay to be bad. And it's normal to be bad at the beginning. It's part of the process. You got to embrace it. It's not a fun part. It sucks. I understand. But you know that is your moment to grow. So that's the beginning. The second thing is, after you get something and you see that there is something works, is to keep building on it, is to keep improving. So one of the things that I did was always have a camera record myself every single pitch. And every single pitch I did, I was looking it back. Trust me, it's cringy. Because if there is one thing that I hate sometimes, it's like the sound of my voice and look back at what I do. It's cringy. I don't want to see that again. But it's an important part, because otherwise I'm not able to see what I'm doing well. I'm not able to see also what I need to improve. Because in that moment, the energy, the adrenaline is too much. So sometimes I deliver a pitch, I black out. I don't even know what I'm saying. So I need to look back. I need to look back and see what I need to improve. Which it then goes with the other part. Have someone else that knows what they're looking for, that knows what to do, to also give you feedback. To say, hey, you haven't said this. You can say this in a different way. Why don't we change the offer? Why don't we change the pricing? Why don't we change the way you stand on stage or on your webinar, whatever? And so that's the second part. And that gives you to a point where if you crack that code, then it becomes I get clients every single time I deliver a presentation. There has not been a presentation in the past 7 years, 6 years, 6 years, not 7, 6 years though at least, that I didn't get a client at least. And when you get to the point, it can be easier to get complacent. And I'll tell you the story that really humbled me, because I was hired to deliver an event, to speak at an event in Vilnius, in Lithuania. And there were about 600 people in the audience. I went there with my big ego. I'm good at this. I'm going to crush it. And I remember even talking about how many presentations I've delivered at the speakers' dinner, and the other speakers were really looking forward to it. A lot of speakers came also to my presentation. My room was packed, 600 people queuing outside. I sucked so bad that I finished the presentation with about 30 people in the room. I was seeing people leaving, one by one, the room, shaking their head, and I was there delivering my stupid show. And I was destroyed because I take what I do very seriously. But what I've learned is that I became complacent. And that's where you say, how do you keep that energy right where you go? Because now it just became motion after a while. And so I ate the humble pie. I couldn't get out of bed for about 2 days because that's my life. That's what I do. And I care about every single person who's in the audience. I care about the way I show up. I care about what I can deliver. And that moment reminded me of another lesson, which is the final one. Which is, doesn't matter how many people are in the audience. It doesn't matter what you deliver. You show up like this is the gig of your life. And you prepare like this is the gig of your life. Sometimes I deliver a webinar with 3 people on. I want these 3 people to have the best time of their lives. Sometimes I deliver a webinar with 10,000 people on, or presentations, and I want these 10,000 people to have the best time of their life. But I prepare for that like it is the gig of my life. And when I embrace that, that's where you find that energy. Because you take that what you do seriously, and you take the time that people are giving you seriously. So that's to wrap up the kind of the journey and the lessons.
Yeah, so the message can be the same, but the people are different. The situation is different, and you find your energy in that new moment.
Correct, exactly.
Yeah.
And you find the energy in also talking about something that you care about. Because when you're delivering a presentation, you're delivering a presentation to sell. The outcome is to make money. The outcome is to get a client out of it. That's the outcome. But if they feel that you care about what you do and you make them feel it, they'll trust you. They'll buy from you compared to buy from someone else. That's what separates someone who can get some clients from presentation or someone who can get clients every single presentation, is the care that you put into it. And that's the differentiator most of the time.
Yeah. And maybe also good to mention for those new to selling one-to-many, in one-to-one you can kind of feel the room and you can adjust. So people always leave feeling good. But one-to-many, I have some experience, right, selling from my own events. And I generally get sales from delivering a pitch at an event. But after every event, we ask for feedback. And sometimes the events where I generate the most revenue from stage, there is always 1 or 2 people who don't like the fact that there is something being pitched at all.
Mm-hmm. There is always that. And one of the things to learn when you're selling one-to-many is almost the ability to be bulletproof. For your energy to be so strong and big that you don't get affected by the shift of the energy in the audience. Because normally, we can talk about the online space. In the online space is different, but there is a difference of doing this in person, doing this online. So we start in person. If I deliver that in person, you can feel, you've done it, you can feel the shift in the room. The moment you start selling, boom, the energy drops suddenly. And there are 2 reasons why. Some people, they just don't like to be sold to. They get defensive. They're like, why are you selling it to me right now? Right. And so you kind of get the zone out, because if you let those people affect you, then they throw off your entire pitch, and it happens every time. And in particular, the beginning is normal. It's normal to get affected by it. So part of the practice also helps you protect yourself and just keep going no matter what. The second thing is that the energy drops because people are going to reflection mode. So you might find someone that is like this. And in your mind, you're thinking, this person just wants me to finish. Actually, what this person is doing is making a buying decision. So they are going inside because they're considering buying what you're offering. And they need to go there to buy.
I've seen that so many times, like closed body language, maybe even looking at a phone for a little bit. And those are sometimes exactly the people who buy.
Exactly. And so, but why does it happen? Why does it affect you so much? Is because if you think about selling one-to-one, right? The reason why a lot of people don't like selling is because you have rejection. Like someone says no. They say no to you, your product, your service, and it's rejection. As human being, we are wired to avoid rejection. So that's why salespeople, they learn to have a thick skin, because you're thinking about, okay, next person. This person doesn't want, okay. It's almost like being able to take the no and say, let me find the person who's going to give me the yes. But when you're selling one-to-many, this is rejection on steroids because you have 95% of the room that says no to you at the same time. You're looking at that 5-10%. That depends, of course, on the room. Some rooms, it would be 50% that says yes. But depending on how good you are and how big or small the stage is. But if we take that normally 95% of people will automatically reject you, you feel that energy of rejection coming towards you. And it's human. So now you're trying to protect yourself. Now you're trying to rush things because you feel that. And so part of the skill is learning, okay, let me not be affected by it because my message is for the people that are ready now. And mentally, energetically, I'm focusing on them. So instead of focusing on the person who is like this, I'm focusing on the person who is like this. I'm focusing on the person that is leaning in. And it takes skill. It takes a lot of skill to do that. Then if you took it online, you don't even get any feedback. Or you might have some people calling you names in the chat because now they are not there. They can interact with the chat. They can say anything at that point. So even the ability to go and continue. Now later we can talk if you want about, what are the things that we need to put in the pitch as well on the call to action. But energetically, being able to keep in your energy, be you, and be focused on and knowing that you are talking to the people that are ready to buy now, this is what will protect you from being your worst enemy.
Devil's advocate, what if you're in a room and no one seems to be interacting with you? Like, how do you protect your energy in the worst case?
You wait until it finishes and then you go. Not every pitch will go well. And as I mentioned, it takes, there are going to be situations where the entire audience will be closed off. And it's part of the gig. Imagine that you have a sales call, you have someone that is going to say no, you have a gig and people will say no. And that's okay. What I think is more important is take your time. Like if I have events, even right now that I do this for a living, I do this so many times. If I have an event or a pitch that I know it doesn't work, I feel bad. Like inside after, I'm like, oh, thanks God, this is finished. Let me go play basketball. Like I need to do something that I enjoy because I need to replenish my energy. And then I can go into the next one because the goal is not the one presentation, is what's the total of the presentation I'm delivering and what's the total of the sales I'm making from the presentation. So now instead of being focusing on one, I'm looking at the full spectrum. So if one doesn't go well or two don't go well, I'm delivering 20. I can take two that don't go well.
Yeah. And this shows that this is a skill and it takes perseverance. And that is also why partly you've been able to make millions with this.
Yeah,
because it's not easy. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it. It is a skill, and it takes resilience.
Skill, but I think that when you learn that, then you can apply it to anything. And that's for me. I say this is the most valuable skill I've ever learned in life, because I can go into any business. Like we work with companies from that sell products for orgasms to corporate compliance. Like you cannot go further in that spectrum, right? In the cancer space, medical space, supplements, SaaS, software, once you understand how to get people to buy, then you can apply to anything. And so for me, this is really the ticket to financial freedom, because I know if I want to have a client, let me deliver a presentation, I'm going to get a bunch of clients. It takes time to get there, but once you have it, it stays with you for life. And then the door is your oyster, also because it's such a rare skill. Not many people can do it, and not many people can do it well. So now you go into a company, you go into an organization, you go into a business, say, hey, I can do this for you. Doors are open.
Yeah. And I can testify to that. Like I have maybe 1% of the skills that you have, but I also developed a new product that I hadn't even built yet. And then at an event, I delivered a talk that also contained, small part of it was a pitch. And I was able to sell 22 of those products before I had even built it.
Good.
So I could have never done that through like social media or ads or something like that. I would have probably had to create the product or create complex funnels. But because of this skill that I learned from you and from our mutual friend Susie as well, selling from stage, I was able to generate sales for something that didn't even exist yet.
Yeah,
it's so powerful.
Because then, but also I've seen your journey.
Yeah.
Like you practiced it. I've seen one of your first pitches.
Wasn't good, was it?
It was terrible. Yeah. And still people bought though.
Yeah, true.
And still people bought. And
yeah.
it was so bad, man. But still people bought.
Yeah.
Why? Because you cared.
Yeah.
You cared. And so that's also why I said, like, if you believe in something and you show people that you believe in it and you show why they need it, even if the pitch is not that good, someone is going to see something in you and they're going to buy. And then you build from there, and then you practice, and then you use every single event that you had. Some event went better, some event went worse, some event you get some sales, some event you didn't get sales. But now the skills is with you. Now, whether you want to continue and become a master at it, or just say, okay, I'm happy with what I have, at least you have that skill. And that's where I invite people to think, like, you don't need to get to my level. This is my life. This is my job. You don't need to be me. But if you get the basics, you're good. You're good for life.
Yeah. Maybe we can go over those basics a little bit in terms of structure. Yeah. Because some founders, they go from delivery mode and then into pitch mode, and it's completely different. It's not connected. It's not working. What is a good structure to go from people sitting in the audience wanting to learn something about webinars to actually that moment where you make your offer and people get their credit cards?
So the first thing to think about is that when people think about offers or pitch, they just look at the call to action at the end. Zoom out. Your entire presentation is your pitch. Because what you're doing is you're helping someone making a buying decision from the moment from the first word you say to the last word you say. And so now you start thinking in a different way. Because it's not just the buying decision in that moment, in the 15, 20, 30 minutes that you're going to sell, whatever is how long it's going to be, but it's the entire length of the presentation. So that's number one. And so if you're looking at the structure, we can divide things in three parts. You have the introduction, the content, and the call to action. Introduction, content, call to action. You have these three blocks. The goal of the introduction is to create a sense of urgency and to create a sense of wanting. Like, I want this, I want to know about this, and this is important for me right now. And also, I trust you. So you want to create trust, you want to create urgency, and you want to create a sense of importance. This is at the beginning. Because if at the beginning, from the beginning of the presentation, I trust you as the presenter, I understand that the topic is important for me and I need to understand it, and I understand that it is important now and I need to do something now, you're not asking someone to make an action at the end. You're creating already a sense of urgency from the beginning. So now there is something that is bubbling, right? I want it. I want it. It's a feeling of pull, right? That's what you want. You want them to feel pulled to the topic.
You plant the seed really early on.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. Still, you haven't sold anything yet. Like,
right.
You're not selling.
But in your case, they're either going to be like, or I need to do something with webinars, or I need to do something different than I do now. Correct. Because times are changing or something like that.
Correct. So if I look at webinars, for example, which is one of the offers that we sell, like how to create webinars to sell, first of all, is about why webinars are important right now. So I'll talk about different marketing strategies, pros and cons, and then how webinars are the best way to get clients aligned compared to all the different marketing strategies.
Well, I remember you start with saying why trust is so important these days. Like, it's very general, actually, where you start with, like, yeah, there's like AI and uncertainty in this time. So you don't even mention webinars in the beginning. You just mention the element of trust.
Exactly. So I sell a concept.
You sell the concept.
Because what I need you to agree with me in the first minutes of the talk. So the way I start is, now can you all agree with me that people buy in this way? First, we buy with our time, then we buy with our trust, then we buy with our money, and then we buy with our words. What do I mean about that? If I see something, I spend time researching it. Then if I find the right information, I trust it enough, and after I trust it, I'm going to pay you. If I like what I receive, I'm going to tell everyone. So can you all agree with me that actually the most important currency is not money, is time? So instead of asking yourself, how can you get your ideal clients to spend money with you, ask yourself, how can I get your ideal clients to spend time with you? Agreement. Now, what a better way than webinars to spend time online? And then I can start making the comparison. So that's often my introduction to that presentation, right?
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that you could have chosen another vehicle than webinars. So, but you get people on board with something that's hard to disagree with, and then you kind of have the stage and the trust and authority to go to whichever vehicle is connected with your business.
Exactly. And then I create urgency. Why is it important now? Because we are in time of uncertainty. People are skeptical. So trust is even more important right now. That's why you need to have this. We have AI. AI is going to change everything. People will not know what's real or fake. So if you are delivering a webinar or presentation, now you are real. So they're going to trust you more than anyone that is online, because now they can build a connection with you. They build trust, they spend money with you. And so now there is a sense of urgency, and the sense of urgency is created by setting the context. What's going on in the life of your ideal clients that is changing their world and that is making things difficult for them? And so that creates a sense of urgency. And then I can go into establishing myself. It's like, this is why you should listen to me.
Yeah, and I remember you have all these photos of you on Forbes and Entrepreneur Magazine, and you say how much revenue you generated with webinars. And you also, if I remember correctly, include examples of other businesses for which this system worked.
Correct, exactly. Now, to caveat that part, I'd keep my story very short at the beginning. One of the things that I've always hated is this presentation where you just listen for half an hour, 45 minutes of the life story of someone that is not relevant. I'm like, I'm not here to listen to your life story. I'm here to learn something. Unless I actually want to listen to your life story, but most of the time it's not the case.
Yes. It needs to be just enough to establish credibility.
It needs to be just enough to establish credibility at the beginning. So I found a way that instead of doing a long block of telling my story, like a lot of people do, which that's what puts a lot of people off. I establish credibility, and I go quickly in the content, and then I use my story, but I stagger it throughout the content.
Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. So a lot of speakers indeed start with a story. They open with a story, but you actually start with the introduction elements that you just mentioned.
Yeah. I don't start because you're not interested in me. You're interested in yourself. Yeah. So I need to show you that I understand you, I get you, I'm here for you. If I do that, then the next question is, who are you? And that's why it's flipped. That's why a lot of speakers don't get this right, because they say, let me tell you a bit more about me. Oh my God, I know that for the next 20 minutes, I can just switch off and look at my phone, because then it's going to take me 10 to 20 minutes to get to the rest of the content. And so that's the beginning. That's the introduction. And then we can move into the content part.
Yeah, and that's where you use storytelling to show that this can work for the people in the audience, I imagine.
Yeah, so the content is really interesting, because when people think about the content, they start from, what do I want to share? What do I want to talk about? Which is the worst place to start if you want to sell something. Because if you want to create a presentation to sell, again, zooming out, your entire presentation is your pitch. So you have established authority, credibility, and urgency. Great. Then we are moving to the content. The content needs to answer your objections. A great presentation that sells, persuades, and gives value at the same time is a presentation that really throughout it, you're answering every single thing that is stopping me from buying. So then when you make the call to action at the end, I already won it. Like, all the things that are stopping me from buying have already been addressed. Now, of course, it's not like a Q&A of objection handling. That's not how it's done. But for example, I'll give you an example of webinars, which is my topic, right? I have people don't use webinars for a few reasons. One, they think the tech is too complex. Two, they don't think their offer, they don't know what to sell on the webinar. They don't have the offer, or they don't have the right offer. They don't know how to fill the webinar. They don't know what to put on the presentation. So these are the things that they tell me they don't know how to do it, they don't know what to do, or they struggle with. So these are my content pieces of the webinar, because I can now answer these questions and answer these objections and give them examples to show them how easy it can be and give them the answer that I know I can give them. So that's what makes it great content. And then I will use my stories and other client stories to validate the points, to build that authority, credibility, and also to show proof, because proof is important. And then once I've done that block, then I can go into the call to action.
Yeah, so the content part, the majority, is all about addressing objections that you know your potential clients have. Such as, let's say, a real objection would be like, yeah, I don't think that I can fill my webinars. I think it's just going to be me looking at my camera and no one there. So can you give an example of how you overcome an objection in your content?
The easiest one is, you know what? I get it, because I struggle to fill my own webinars as well. But what if you could fill your webinars even if you don't have an audience? Well, actually, the reality is that you can. Because once you have your presentation, you can partner up with other people or organizations that they have your audience. And they fill your webinar for you. So actually, even if you don't have an audience, what you need to do is to find other people or organizations that you can partner up with and build those partnerships. They are going to be in charge of the marketing, and then you deliver the presentation in front of their audience, and then you continue finding other people. So even if you don't have an audience, even if you don't know how to fill them, can you build a relationship with someone? If you can do that, you can fill your webinar. And then I will give a story. For example, work with Kristen. She did a partnership with an online magazine. The online magazine filled their webinar. She made $70,000 on the webinar itself during the 90 minutes. And then it was a 50-50 split. $35,000 for her, $35,000 for the magazine. That's a good hour of work, right? That's a good hourly rate. I'll take it. So that's, for example, how it is one of the pieces of content that I will have.
So you start with addressing the objection specifically, like exactly what people are thinking and saying to you. And then in a more generic way, you give the framework for how to solve it. And then you give a story.
Then I give a story. It can be like 2 or 3 different stories, because people learn through stories.
Is there a reason you don't go with the story earlier and then the framework?
Is there a reason? It can be done the other way around. The way I prefer doing, and is a personal preference, is to call it out, because when I call it out, the part of the audience that is interested in that or has that objection, they lean in. If I start with the story, they don't know where the story is going, so they might miss the point. But if I say, hey, I know some of you might be thinking, how do I fill this webinar? I've tried, it didn't work. Maybe I put a webinar out, I only had 4 registration, no one showed up. Or maybe I don't have an audience, I cannot fill it. Anyone thinking about this? Let me know in the chat. Or if it's a live presentation, raise your hand. Yes. Good news.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so then we have had this introduction. We have delivered so much value through content. And in doing that, we've addressed the most common objections of our potential clients. And now the exciting part, we're going to go into the actual call to action.
Now we're going to the call to action. So there is something that there are different ways of doing the call to action. And the way of doing the call to action depends on, there is an intersection. One is what to say, but also the other part is your natural selling style and your audience, because that's where we got to make some decisions. So I'm trying to make it as simple as possible right now, but I'm going to start with not what to say, but what type of call to actions there are. And even before that, I like to ask with permission. There are some presenters that they will force you to sit through the call to action. And I think in a live event, you kind of are because you're sitting there. So unless you leave the room, then you're there for the call to action. But in online space, actually, you can invite people to leave. And I'd rather have less people that hear the call to action, but everyone there that wants to be sold to, than more people that are complaining in the chat, in particular on the webinar. So one thing that I do at the beginning as part of the introduction, one of the sentences I will say is, also, if I deliver what I promise I'm going to deliver, is that okay if at the end I'll mention how we can continue working together? Yes? Okay for everyone? Boom. So now the elephant in the room is gone. They are relaxed. There is no surprise pitch at the end. So I like to do that towards the end of the introduction before the content. And then if I'm running a webinar, when I finish the content, I let them know, hey, now the content is finished. I'm going to continue and I'll tell you how we can work together. So for those of you that are inspired to say, actually, I want to use this webinar thing or whatever I'm selling at the time, then stay on. Anyone else? You're not interested? Feel free to go. And the amount of people in the chat or in the live room that I see that actually say, oh, thank you for doing this. Some people say, thank you, I'm leaving. Great, it means I'm not having someone nasty in the chat trying to really ruin my sales, because that's what happens. And then the people that are there, they're there because they choose to be there. Now they are open themselves. They are saying to themselves, I want to be sold to. That's the best place to be. And so I found that style really aligns with me and asking permission to sell and letting them know when I'm selling. So then there is no surprises. You know what to expect from me. And also I come across as someone with integrity and someone with boundaries. You know what to expect from me. I'm not here to trick you.
I remember exactly the first time you did, in Cape Town, when I was at your presentation, I saw you doing that. I was like, okay, that is quite a vulnerable moment where you asked the people, is it okay if I share something about whatever it was? But yeah, you really ask for permission before going further. You really did that.
Yeah. I think the exact phrase I used in Cape Town in that moment, is it okay if I ask you for some money?
Yeah.
Because also...
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah. And you only continued after at least one person said, yes, that's okay. After people acknowledged, you took the time and you waited for people to actually give you permission.
And I said, and is that okay if I ask you to give me some money for charity? So then I broke it down. So there was that moment where people were like, huh? And then someone said yes. And I said, is it okay if I ask it for charity? Opening. All right. And I think that the conversation now goes into where I wanted to go, which is your natural selling style and also your audience. Now, as I mentioned before, you cannot change the way your audience buys. And also, if you sell in a way that you naturally sell, then people will feel more comfortable. So, for example, I'm a joker. I love entertaining. I love making jokes. I'll have picture of the picture that I have of me on the slides with the ad on the 6-pack and the yoga picture where
you photoshopped your head on the bodies of athletic people. Yeah.
Yeah, I photoshopped my head on the bodies of athletic people. I photoshopped my head on someone doing yoga with their ass up in the air. It's that's normally my style, and I lean into it because I'm a joker, like to have fun. So then even when I'm doing the pitch, I've learned not to shift, because what happened is that there is what is called the pitch mode. So you are the nicest, kindest, the most funny, most loving or calm, depending on your style, person throughout the whole presentation. And now pitch mode starts. And so now we are here today to sell you this incredible product. And it's like, but this is not who you were before. And part of the skill and the training is actually learning how to really be yourself, even when you're selling, and be comfortable in who you are and not having that personality switch when you're selling. And with that, there are 3 ways where you can sell. One is called the inviting people to a call. So you just invite people to a call. Then you have the get it now close. and then you have the application close. So the three different call to actions that you can make is, if your audience is not an audience that buys immediately, or for example, you have people that, or maybe you're not as good, or you're starting out. So if you're starting out, or your audience is an audience like organization, businesses, government, like one of the businesses that I have, for example, is a recruitment agency for ex-military. We work with NATO, government contracts, and so on. We don't do a pitch with a product and this is the offer, right? It's inviting them to a call. But even if you're starting out and you're not confident, getting someone to give you their money straight away is a skill to learn. It's a lot of a lot of energy. We talked about that before, right? So make your life easier. Just say, hey, here's different ways in which I can help you with. But working with me, we can achieve X, Y, and Z. All you need to do today is to book a call. I got nothing to sell you. Boom, easy. Get people to book the call. So that's one close. Then you have another, and it's great also if you're the kind of person who loves to build a relationship with people. Sometimes as a character, some people, they just naturally love figuring things out. They love creating collaborations. They love finding a solution between you and your clients, so not forcing them to buy something. If you're the kind of person, just invite them to a call. Don't lean into your personality and who you are. Then you have the get it now clause. Get it now clause, here's the offer, here are the bonuses, buy now, and if you buy now, this is what's going to happen, and then I'm going to give you a bicycle as well, included, like all these kind of things, right? And that works if your audience is an audience that buys now, like is a kind of audience that make decisions for themselves, is something that it doesn't have to take me too much to buy it, right? I can take my credit card out and get it out and buy. But also it works if as a personality, naturally you're charismatic. Like you're the kind of person that maybe naturally, or maybe because you worked on it, you can get people to do the stuff that you want them to do. You're the kind of person maybe in your friends group that you were the leader of the group, that people were naturally following. And if you have that innate personality or you work towards that personality, then the get it now clause will work really well for you. Because you're a natural leader. You're someone that inspires people to take action, inspires people to see something that they have not seen before. And I've been that way. So that type of call to action actually works really well for me because also aligns with my personality. And then you have the final one, which is the application clause. The application is a hybrid between the get it now clause and booking a call. The difference is that, like the get it now clause, you know what's on offer. You know that this is the price, you know these are the incentives, you know that this is the offer. But instead of buying it straight away, then you're applying for it. So there is a selection process. And this works in particular if you're selling higher ticket. And also, if you're the kind of person that maybe you have a really big audience and a big demand, so you're very picky and selective with the clients that you work with, or you're kind of person you're naturally very protective of your energy. Like you don't want to talk to everyone, like the open call, where you're trying to figure things out. I just want to talk with the right people that want to talk to me, and with them, I'm going to figure something out. And so, understanding who you are and understanding your audience then helps you also find a call to action that is more aligned with who you are, whether it's booking a call, get it now, or making an application.
Yeah. Could we add a fourth one to this? Because some stages, like you cannot really sell it. And then what a lot of speakers do is they have a lead magnet, like a freebie.
Yeah.
And like then they get people into their funnel. But even so, you still need to make sure a high enough percentage actually takes that action, right?
I have a different take on it. Okay, is it a close? Yes, it can be a close, absolutely. So if you are in the context of selling and getting someone to make a buying decision, then these are the three clauses. But of course, there are some situations, many situations, where as a speaker, you're not allowed to sell. How do you make the most of these situations? And getting someone to download or give a lead magnet or some resources is an incredible way. But I like to do it in a I found a more effective way just in doing that at the end. If I cannot sell, I want the vast majority of people in the audience actually to download what I want to give them, the particular resource. So I will create a resource that links to my talk, but fits in the middle of the talk, or something.
Oh, so you add an extra call to action.
Right. Because what happens if I cannot sell, if you think about maybe in the context of an event, at the end is where people are already thinking about moving to the next, whatever is next, whether it's the next speaker, whether it's the break, whether it's lunch, whether it's that. So some people, their mind is already there. In particular, if you don't have the time or the space to make a big call to action or buying decision and so on. So if I want the majority of people to actually download my thing, let's say that I talk about webinars and I say, now, one of the segments of my presentation is talking about tech. And I'll say, you know what? I've created a resource for you, which is a checklist with all the tech and things that you need in order to run your webinar. There's a QR code here. Get it now. I'll do it about maybe halfway through the presentation or a third into the presentation. And what creates the biggest amount of opt-ins is not an extra resource at the end. Is a resource that complements the talk that you're giving while you're giving the talk.
Brilliant.
And I have normally like 95% of the audience downloading my stuff or getting into my WhatsApp funnels. I got WhatsApp bots and that's where you guarantee a high percentage. And then you remind it at the end for the few people that have not done it. But you will see that if you create a resource that links to one of the pieces of content, almost creating like an open loop, and it's like, hey, I don't have time right now, but I've created this for you. Just get it. Leave it up for a minute or two. Like give people the time to take the action. The majority of people will actually do it.
And I've seen you actually do this with WhatsApp, I believe. Have you also done this with...
I did your retreat.
Yeah.
I did it at your retreat.
Yeah.
I did it, like all the events we've been together. You see me doing everywhere almost.
Now I see the pattern.
Now you see the pattern. Now I see why I do it. Yeah.
And does it need to be like you have this whole WhatsApp funnel set up? Like, it can also be email address and then fetch it from the email address?
Exactly. Like what you want is data collection.
Yeah.
Right. Depending on how techy you are or where you want, how deep down the funnel rabbit hole you want to go, then you can decide. The simplest way is give them a checklist or something that links to the talk that you're giving while you're giving the talk. QR code or link if it's a webinar. If it's a webinar, don't use a QR code, by the way, because some people watch their webinar on their phones.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I need to take another phone to get a QR code on it, right? Well, if you're using a webinar, put a link in the chat. But if you're on a presentation, QR code. And then email address, and if you want phone number, ideally I like to take the phone number as well. If you like a more relationship, or if you have a more follow-up system, which is based on text messages, or you want to create a conversation with your audience during and after the event, then WhatsApp funnels are amazing.
Yeah. This is just such a brilliant takeaway, I think, for anyone listening, doing presentations, just adding that second call to action in a way that adds value in the middle of the presentation is going to be worth like listening to this episode alone.
Uh-huh. Yes.
I saw you do it. I never saw the pattern, I guess. Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure. My pleasure. There is a madness to my method, or a method to my madness.
Yeah, the other way around. Yeah, they're both actually.
Both. Yeah. There's madness anyway. So
yeah, madness is the common denominator in everything you do. Okay, so let's go back to the call to action. I personally love the get it now call to action because I don't like to do calls and meetings with people. That's just a personal preference. I don't think I was necessarily naturally very good at that, but I learned it through trial and error. And I think it was also by getting some of the instruments that you use, like urgency, scarcity. Like, can you share a little bit more about optimizing the conversion for the get it now call to action in a presentation?
Yeah. So the first thing of a get it now call to action is simplicity. That's the number one thing. Because if you're asking someone to make a decision right now, and the decision that you're asking to make has too many factors or is too complex, my brain gonna take more time. And there is one rule in sales: is a confused mind says no.
Doesn't buy. Yeah.
Confused mind doesn't buy. Confused mind says no.
Yeah.
So what you want, anything that you sell needs to be explained in a sentence. For example, one of my core programs is called the Webinar Conversion Accelerator. Create and launch your high converting webinar in 30 days. You know what you're buying. You're going to create and launch your high converting webinar in 30 days. And if you're not able to explain the outcome they're going to get at the end, in one sentence, your sales are not going to be good straight away. Because then people are still going to be thinking, what am I going to get? And that one sentence needs to be repeated over and over again throughout that moment. Because I want them to be able to repeat to me, what does the accelerator do? Launch and create and launch a high converting webinar in 30 days. Like, they need to be able to say it back to me. The second thing after you have that is be clear about the core benefits. So I'm going straight, and if you get this, this is what will happen to you and your business. And the way I like it to explain is like be, do, have. So you will become that person or that business. You will do this kind of activities. This is what the kind of things that you will do, and this is what you will have as a result. Because people they will buy a transformation, and different buyers, they have different priorities. Some people, they want to have more things in their life, so they want to acquire, they want to have. Some people, they want to do more things and experience more things in their life or business. And other people, they want to become someone. And so if you are attaching all these three levels in terms of the benefits, then you get, they can feel it.
Can you give an example for that for webinars?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's like once you are able to have your webinar, that first of all, you will become that person and that business that is magnetic, that you don't have really to work really hard to get clients, that you will have clients coming to you every time you run a presentation. That's the kind of business that you will become by doing that. But also, you will become incredibly confident, because there is a sense of certainty and power that you get when you have the confidence to go into a room and knowing that the moment you press live or the moment you step on stage, someone is going to buy from you. There is nothing that gives you that feeling of confidence like that. But also, you will be able to have experiences that many people will not have. For example, you will be able to travel the world. You will be able to run your business in any location just because you have an internet connection. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So it's about painting a picture of what the webinar will do for you, what you will have as a result of the webinar, and who you will become as a result of the webinar.
What's on the other side of getting the product?
Correct. Because that's what I really want. I don't want to sit on a class to learn webinar. I said no one ever. See, yeah, I want to sit on 3 hours on Zoom learning how to do a damn webinar.
Yeah, it's a classic sell the destination, not
Correct.
the journey. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you can go into what's included and what's included in the offer. The less is more. So before, there used to be more things you add, the more people will want it. But actually, the more things you add, the more decisions I gotta make. And the more things you add that are not relevant, the more it's gonna push me away from that buying decision.
Create objections.
Yeah, because like, well, but I don't need that, I don't need that, I don't need that. Even if there are incentives, I'm not gonna buy them. Because now I'm evaluating everything. So first of all is that make sure that everything that you add as part of your offer, which is part of offer design, is exactly what the client wants and needs. That's important. And just stick to these points. And the way you introduce them is actually introducing, like almost telling a story or painting a picture. I'll give you an example. If let's say that my my webinar accelerator has 3 parts. Now, create the offer, create the webinar, and create the marketing and sales material. So I will start by saying, now, when you might have this question and say, what the heck am I going to sell on this webinar? Right? How am I going to sell it? What kind of offer I'm going to make? What kind of bonuses? How am I going to package it? That's why the first thing that we'll do in the webinar conversion accelerator is a session on the offer. So by the end of it, you will have an offer that you know is going to work on your webinar, that you know will convert, and you will have confidence and clarity on the offer that you're going to present in your webinar. So as you see, I didn't say this is just, we'll do a session to create your offer. I started with the question that they have in their mind. Many of you will have, what am I going to sell on the webinar? That's why the first session is, this is what we'll do. Then we will move to the second session. And how many of you say, how do I create this presentation? What do I put on slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, slide 4? And I continue in that pattern.
Yeah, you start with the question or objection that people have in their minds.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because that's how you draw people in. I don't want that to feel like a list of things that you're going to have to do.
Yeah, and that's when it becomes a one-sided pitch. And with the questions, you keep the interaction.
Exactly.
Okay, so we got that. And then I always see you use some sense of urgency as well in your Get It Now offer.
Yes, urgency is then what is gonna just give them the final push. Right, so remember, if you have done the things right from the beginning, now the people that are there are going to be a lot of people that will want it. That they have this feeling of, I want it, I need it, right? And it's almost like, I'm Italian, and you love food. I love food. We are 2 foodies. I think you're probably more than me, because you do crazy stuff to eat good food.
I had great steak and eggs this morning.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. I'm not surprised. But I love dessert. For me, dessert is my favorite food. I gotta say, I think we have something in common there, because you're a dessert fanatic. Dessert is left for last, right? So you leave the best for last. What do I mean about that? Your best feature of your offer or your best bonus needs to be the thing that they only get if they take action now. So what they want the most is the thing that they're only going to get if they take action now. What's the most valuable is the thing that they only get to take action now. So when we're going at the beginning, creating the offer, there are different scales of value depending on what I'm including in the offer. There are things that are valued more and things that are valued less in the eye of the audience. I want to make sure that things that is valued more is not what I include in the program, actually. Is what I include is the bonus, and I make it contingent for them to take action now. So for example, I know that people want to spend time with me. They want to have a call with me. I know that. People say, hey, can I have a call with you? Can I pick your brain? Can I do that? And I charge quite a lot of money for these calls. So when I sell and I want to really make a sale and create a great offer and so on, I'll make a limited time offer and if you buy today, you'll have the call with me. Now, I know this is what they want the most. Like, I've learned that. I had many conversations with clients, and so that's where urgency comes into place. Don't just put bonuses or random things for the sake of putting them, but make sure that they are exactly like what they want the most. And even if you need to restructure your offer. So sometimes I will change an offer with a client because they put the most valuable thing as what's normally included. I say, no, leave the less valuable thing in what's included and make the most valuable the bonuses, and you'll find that your sales will increase massively. Yeah.
Well, I guess, and then the core product that is always sold, like that's always available even outside of the time frame, it still needs to be a complete product, right?
Yeah, it depends. That depends on the business strategy. Some people, they only sell that and they say you can only buy this product as it is here on the webinar and you cannot buy it anywhere else. And that creates a sense of urgency. The most important thing is to be honest.
Yeah.
Right? That's where, unfortunately, a lot of people don't do, which creates a bad reputation in this kind of industry. But if you're real with your bonuses, with your incentives, Then the most important thing. So it can be, you can buy this offer anywhere. It's on my website. You can take it. If you buy here, you're going to have X, Y, and Z extra. That is real. Or you can say, I'm not selling this offer anywhere else. You can only buy it here.
Yeah. And I think many people might feel some resistance to this, to adding urgency to an offer. But I think what you always say is like, if people don't decide now becomes later, and later becomes never. You had a nice sentence for that.
That one.
Was that one?
That sentence. Is it? And you know, one of the reasons why it took me 25 presentations to sell something? I was resistant to put urgency.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to be like them. Whatever them were, they were the speakers that I didn't want to be like. And I was thinking, I don't want to sound like a lazy salesperson. I don't want to trick people into buying something. And so I decided to sell something with no incentives or no bonuses because I am better. And I am better than human psychology and human nature. No, right? As human being, we respond to what's urgent and what's scarce. Think about our entire society, how it's built, right? Think about what creates priorities in our life. I might not care about my fridge. Right now, I'm not thinking about my fridge. But if Lovelda, my wife, sends me a message and said the fridge is broken, we need to do something because otherwise we're not going to have food for the week. Now, this is an urgent situation. Now my fridge becomes a priority. So naturally, as human beings, we need external factors that create urgency in what we are doing. And if we don't do that in our marketing on sales, then there is always going to be that, I'll do it another time, and then another time will never come because we get busy. Right? And the moment you have the attention of your audience is only in the moment of the webinar or the presentation. When they leave, you're not important anymore. I'm not important anymore. I'm nobody. Right? I'm only important in that moment when I'm in front of them. The moment I'm not in front of them anymore, their kids, their pets, their life, their business, their phone, their Instagram. Like I'm competing with an Instagram reel, really. That's how important I am. And so I want to shoot my shot. I want to make sure I give them a reason to keep engaging with me. I want to give them a reason to continue the conversation, to have the transformation, because I strongly believe in what I offer, and I strongly believe that they can have that transformation. So I owe it to them. And that's why it's really important.
That's the way to think about this. Like, you're there to serve your potential clients. They are best served by taking a next step. And to take that next step, there needs to be some urgency. Otherwise, they don't do it.
Exactly. There needs to be a reason to take the action now. There needs to be a reason to buy now. That's what you're creating. What's the reason for me to do this now? Give them a reason. Whatever the reason is, you create the reason. But give them a valid reason.
To act now. Yeah, I was also very resistant about this, and I started doing it, like offering something only for the evening of the event, night and day.
Makes a big difference. And I was thinking, I love hummus, right? I love hummus. One of my favorite food. And we have a supermarket in the UK called Sainsbury's. And they always have this deal. Always. It's always there. Buy 1 tab of hummus for £1.20 and 2 tabs for £2. How many do you think I buy?
8?
4. Okay. Pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So I go in because I want 1. I come back with 4, or I come back with 2. The deal is always there. There is no urgency because I know it's going to be there next week. And I know it's going to be there tomorrow. But I want to have a good deal. As human beings, we want to have good deals.
Yeah.
We want to have value for the money that we spend. So if we can get more by spending less, why not?
Yeah, give people a deal. Yeah, everyone likes to have a deal.
Everyone likes a deal. Give them a deal.
All right, so we've covered also now the call to action, different ways. And now, how do we actually go into the closing, because maybe we don't want to close with the QR code and a call to action only. Maybe we want to be remembered in a different way in the last few minutes.
No.
No?
That depends on the goal.
Yeah.
Is my goal to be remembered in a different way, or is my goal to get them to buy? If my goal is to get them to buy, I'm continuing the sales presentation. So there are different levels and depends on the context. But if I'm running, for example, my own event or my own presentations, I like to have a good half an hour, sometimes even 1 hour to sell. Why is that? Because in particular in the online space, if people are still logged in, it means that they're making some sort of decision. I'm not forcing anyone, if I'm running a webinar, to stay there. The X button is there. Like, it's very easy to click. And so if they want to leave, they can leave. But if they're still there, there is something in them. Am I in? Am I doing it? Am I not doing it? Am I buying? Am I not buying? So what I want to do is, first of all, to repeat the offer at least 2 or 3 times. And it feels like it's an overkill. The first few times I had someone telling me to do this, because I was only doing it once. I was incredibly resistant, because it felt like I was repeating it so much. But let's flip the script. I know this offer because I've created this offer. I worked on it. I know the inside out. They are the first time that they hear it. It's just the first time that they hear it. So there is so much they need to process. They're making a buying decision. They've listened to a presentation before. They have something else that is happening in their life. Their phone is ringing. They might not even listen to it, whatever it's going to be. So always repeat it multiple times, at least 2 or 3 times. Because the first time, they get an idea. The second time, they get a better idea. The third time, they really understand what's included. Because otherwise, you will lose people just because they don't understand what they're buying. So what they're doing, you're doing it for them. Are you doing it for them? People need repetition to understand what's on offer. And then I'll go into questions. I'll ask questions at the audience. I'll have my own pre-prepared questions that answer some of the objections that they have. And then when we feel we are complete, then I'll leave them with a call to action, saying, hey, this is the offer. And then I'll reinforce the final message. So in my case, webinars are the most effective way to get clients online. Make sure you join the accelerator. Let's work together. Because the last thing I want them to remember is the action I want them to take. If I close with it in a different way, I'm going to take the attention away from the sale.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, people remember the first thing and the last thing. And the last thing needs to be connected with the goal of why you gave the presentation to begin with.
Exactly.
All right. Wow, that was a big crash course in selling from stage, from presentations.
14 years of work just right here on this show.
I'm definitely going to listen back a couple of times to be able to implement everything.
Me too. There was some good stuff.
There was some good stuff, yeah. Thanks, Simone. We always like to close these podcast episodes with the question, if you could share one message that would go to every founder in the world, what would that message say?
Webinars are the most effective way to get clients online.
That is exactly practicing what you preach. I love it.
That's the message. I think that actually, no, like going to the message is that any founder, you're communicating, right? You're giving communication. You're presenting all the time. And so having the skill to learn how to persuade and sell is the most important skill that I think any founder can get. Whether you're going to do presentations professionally or not, you can use it for pitches, you can use it to raise investment, you can use it to influence your team. Whatever is persuasion, right? Is the ability to make someone want something. And I think that if you invest in that skill, you invest time and you learn it and you practice, it's time incredibly well spent. I believe that from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Right. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Amsterdam Founders Club podcast. If you'd like to learn more about the things that we mentioned in this episode, check out the show notes.